Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and realize every desire you've ever chased was never truly yours. The women you pursued, the validation you craved, even the dreams you thought were personal, planted illusions. A carefully designed script, written not by you, but by forces that profit from your obedience. Friedrich Nietzsche once warned, "The most common form of human stupidity is forgetting what one is trying to do." But what if you never even chose what you were trying to do in the first place? The descent, setting the trap. Think about it. Every hunger you feel, status, intimacy, approval, could be nothing more than programming. Not just from corporations or governments, but from the very people you're desperate to impress. Who shaped your desires? Who benefits when you keep chasing shadows? Carl Jung called it the shadow, the unconscious forces that dictate what you believe you want. And Nietzsche saw the tragedy first. Within every man lives a child that wants to play. But what if that child was conditioned, trained to dance for applause instead of freedom? The illusion, turning life into performance society, whispers into your mind. Media sells you a dream. Even biology tricks you with cravings that don't serve you. Love becomes performance. Intimacy becomes transaction. You become a puppet dancing to a rhythm you never chose. And while you're chasing the mirage, status, attention, pleasure, you mistake hunger for purpose, lust for transcendence. Psychology has a name for this: cognitive biases, scarcity, the halo effect, confirmation traps, endless cycles of pursuit without fulfillment. The warning, the cost of blindness. Viktor Frankl once said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Yet most never do. Instead, they spend an entire life performing on a stage they never built, unaware they're only the audience to their own hollow script. That's the cost of obedience, a life wasted chasing borrowed desires. The shift, enter the rebel. But there is another path. Schopenhauer saw it. Most men will choose misery over uncertainty, but the rebel refuses. He begins to question every hunger, dissect every impulse, burn every script. And what remains? Not emptiness, but sovereignty. Nietzsche's Übermensch, the man who creates his own values, unmoved by applause or rejection. The epiphany, breaking the cage. Here is the forbidden truth. The chains were never locked. The cage door was always open. The prison guard was you. The moment you stop begging for permission from women, from society, from your own aching hunger, you discover the terrifying reality. You were always free. The climax. The choice. Sartre was right. Hell is other people, but only if you let them define your heaven. The moment you stop chasing, stop seeking, stop performing, you become the unshakable center. Love, validation, success. They were never the answer. They were distractions from the freedom of self-ownership. The hammer, ending with impact. Now the question remains, will you keep living as their myth, or will you burn the script and live as you are? Nietzsche's hammer strikes again. Become who you are. Not a seeker, not a beggar of love, but a sculptor of meaning. The chase was always the illusion. The freedom is now. The choice is yours. Transition, entering the unknown. But here's the part no one tells you. When you burn the script, the stage goes dark. The applause dies. The people who once cheered you vanish. And for the first time, you hear it, silence. This silence terrifies most men, so they run back to the performance, back to the cage. Because freedom feels like emptiness when you've lived your entire life on borrowed desires. The trial, facing the abyss. This is the abyss Nietzsche spoke of. When you stare into it, it stares back. The rebel's first battle is not with society, not with women, not with the world. It is with himself, with the ghosts of old hungers whispering, "Chase her, prove yourself, seek approval." And every time you refuse, the old self dies a little more. The rebirth, discovering the self. But beyond that, death is rebirth. Slowly, you begin to realize what you thought was emptiness is space. Space to create, space to choose. For the first time, your desires are not echoes of advertising, not chains of biology, not scripts of culture, but your own. And they feel different, lighter, clearer. A hunger that doesn't enslave, but directs. The strength, building sovereignty. Carl Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole, no longer chasing shadows, but integrating them. You are no longer torn between who you are and who you pretend to be. You stop performing and start living. The rebel becomes sovereign, a man who doesn't need applause, doesn't fear rejection, because his worth isn't on loan from others. It is rooted in himself. The revelation, what true freedom looks like. And here lies the secret. Once you no longer need what they dangle before you, you become untouchable. A man who cannot be seduced by status, cannot be enslaved by hunger, cannot be broken by rejection. He is not cruel, not arrogant, but free. A presence others feel without words, because freedom radiates, it cannot be hidden. The final choice, returning to the world. So the story comes full circle. The cage was never locked, the script was never yours. The prison guard was always you, and now the door stands open. But will you walk through, or will you cling to the comfort of chains? Closing hammer, ending with power. The answer defines your life. Live as a puppet, chasing illusions until the day you die, or as a sovereign, carving meaning from the raw stone of existence. Nietzsche's words thunder once more. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Now the question is no longer who programmed your hunger. The question is, who will you become when the hunger ends? The return, living beyond the cage. What happens when a man walks out of the cage? He doesn't vanish. He returns to the world, but not as the same man. Once he was a beggar of love, of approval, of status. Now he moves as one who needs nothing. And that is the ultimate paradox. The moment you stop chasing, what you once chased begins to follow you. Respect, attraction, influence, they arrive uninvited. Not because you seek them, but because sovereignty cannot be ignored. The contrast, the puppet versus the sovereign. Look closely and you'll see it everywhere. The puppet smiles too wide, laughs too loud, fights too hard to prove he matters. His life is performance. But the sovereign? He's silent, yet his presence fills the room. He does not demand attention. He commands it, simply by existing outside the script. The power, unshakable center. This is what Sartre missed when he said, hell is other people. No, hell is dependence on other people. But when you no longer borrow your worth, no one can create your hell. No one can define your heaven. You stand at the center, unmoved by applause or rejection, like a mountain in the storm. The gift, the rare freedom. Most will never taste this freedom. They will choose comfort over sovereignty, chains over uncertainty. They will live as spectators of their own lives. But the few who dare to burn the script discover a life that cannot be sold, cannot be bought, cannot be stolen. True independence. The legacy, final strike. And this is where the story ends, or maybe where it begins. Because the sovereign man does not escape the world, he shapes it. He becomes the living proof that freedom is possible, that the cage was never real, that meaning is not given but created. Final hammer, the last blow. So I ask you one last time, who are you without your chains? A seeker, a puppet, a beggar of love, or the sovereign, unmoved, unbroken, untouchable? Nietzsche's hammer falls one final time. Become who you are. The choice was always yours. It still is.